गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन। सो बच्चों, आज हम चैप्टर 2 हमने स्टार्ट किया था। इन द लास्ट सेशन वी हैव स्टार्टेड आवर चैप्टर 2, दैट इज पब्लिक फाइनेंस, एंड इट्स फर्स्ट यूनिट दैट वाज फिस्कल फंक्शन एंड ओवरव्यू, राइट? So we have so far learnt about the what is public finance, right? Fiscal function overview, I have told you fiscal means budget, and budget consists of the government's income, mainly taxes, tax revenues and other revenues, and also the government expenditures, right? And we have also learned about the role of government in an economic sector. What is the meaning of economic sector? So I have told you that there are three types of economic systems, and these three economic systems are either capitalist economy, where the whole control of resources in private hands, private sector, right? And the other one is socialist economy, where government has the control over the resources, right? And the third one is mixed economy, and our economic system or mixed economy, like India. India is the largest mixed economic system, where both private as well as public sector, government sector go together, right? They work together. The resources are distributed among both private and public sector, right? And as we have seen in the overview of the chapter, this is the flow chart. So now we will cover today, first of all, before the break, up to the break, we will discuss these three functions of the fiscal functions of the government. Public finance, under the public finance, the government has to perform these three functions. We will discuss this: allocation function, redistribution function, stabilization function. After this, after the break, we will start our second unit of this chapter, right? So first of all, bachcho, we will start with the first function of the fiscal policy or fiscal function, right, under the public finance. And first function is allocation function, right? Sir, what is the meaning of allocation? Here the allocation means allocation of resources, allocations of factors of production, right? And you all are aware about that very well. What are the main factors of or resources, factors of production are land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, right? All you know, these are the major four factors. We have discussed about them many times in earlier sessions, right? So resources allocation refers to the way. Now the problem, that is, what are the resources we have discussed? What are the distribution of income, in which form among these resources we have discussed? In the form of rent, wages, interest, profit, right? In our previous chapter, that is national income. Now we are going to discuss here what is the meaning of resources allocation. Resources allocation refers to the way in which available resources or factors of production are allocated among various uses to which they might be put. What is the meaning of this, sir? See, it means we have already learned in microeconomics in your foundation exam. In microeconomics, you have also learned in very first unit, very first chapter, that resources are limited, right? Or scarcity of resources. The resources of production are scarce, limited to every economy. Whether it doesn't matter whether it is a developed economy, whether it is developing economy, whether it is underdeveloped economy, right? In every economy, the resources of production, the factors of production are always limited in front of the wants, their uses. And they have multiple uses, alternative uses, right? If you have for example, if you have a piece of land, right? There are so many possibilities. You can either build a house on that land. You can start your business or factory on that land. You can make a garden or playground on that land. You can make a school, hospital on that ground or land, right? So there are multiple uses, right? So this land can be used either for the agriculture or for the residential or for the commercial or for the forest, right? Similarly, if there are laborers, if there is a manpower in the economy, that manpower can be either used in the industrial sector or secondary sector, or can be primary sector, or can be service sector and IT sector. So everywhere, in case of all resources, there are multiple uses, various uses where these resources can be distributed, can be allocated. What is the meaning of allocated? Means distributed, right? Now, the main function is here how these factors should be distributed, right? Which the available resources of factors of production are allocated, the way in which means how these can be distributed among the various multiple uses so that maximum human wants can be satisfied, right? So it determines how much of the various kinds of goods and services be actually produced, right? If, for example, if you allocate more of your resources on the production of the say army goods, say the defense goods, like right now in the case of like Russia, so Russia and Ukraine, right? So there is a war between these two countries. You all are aware about that, right? So if Russia or Ukraine has diverted their all resources to the production of the army goods, defense goods like guns, missiles, right? So there will be more production of these defensive goods, right? Army goods, and less of the consumer goods, less of the capital goods. Obviously, it will create a problem for the welfare of the society, right? It will harm the welfare of the society. So this is to decide how to utilize, how to allocate resources. Is it clear, बच्चों? समझ में आ रहा है, right? So resources allocation is a critical problem. This is a very much critical problem because every economy has a limited resources. I have already told you every economy has a limited resources, but human wants are unlimited. So it is very crucial for any economy how to allocate their resources over the production of so many goods, large number of goods and services, right? Now, this is the responsibility of the government. Now the course of action of the government arises. They have to take a course of action, how they divide. Now, this is the biggest problem. Who decide this? I have already told you. First of all, every economy has to decide what kind of economic system it should follow. It is going to follow. Whether it is going to follow the capitalist economy. So obviously, the private sector has to take the decision to allocate the resources, right? And if they are going to adopt the socialist economy pattern, then obviously the government will decide, right? And the government's motive is always for welfare, and the private sector's motive always for profit maximization, to earning profit, right? And if we are going to adopt the economic system of mixed economy, then both the resources will be allocated by collective, by simultaneous efforts of the government and the private sector, right? So as we know, the private sector resources allocation is characterized by market supply and demand of the price mechanism, right? ये बात समझ में आ रही है बच्चों? Is it clear? You have learned about this in microeconomics, but in market, in private sector, in capitalist economy, when there is a hold of private sector, when it is the concern of private sector, there will be the allocation, how the equilibrium price is determined on the basis of free market forces of demand and supply. Where the market demand and market supply are equal, the equilibrium price is attained, and at that price, what quantity the consumers are willing to buy, the sellers are willing to sell, they meet their requirement. Is it clear? And here in private sector, consumer sovereignty. What is the meaning of consumer sovereignty, sir? The consumer sovereignty means consumer is a king here, right? Right, consumer sovereignty means the kingdom of consumer. The consumer is king here. Means whatever the private firms will going to produce, they will first of all find out the need of the consumer, the preference of the consumer, right? On the basis of the preference of consumers, the private sector will produce, right? So this is called consumer sovereignty, and producer profit making, and producer always produce those goods where the profit is maximum, right? And whatever the price, if they get the price where their profit is maximum, that price, right? The state's allocation, and in different way, in second form of economy, right? Now Ram Chandra asking who decide that what should an economy adopt, whether capitalist, socialist or mixed economy? Very good answer, very good question, beta. Now listen. So this is the decision of the constitution maker, right? Or at the time when an economy starts, like in case of India, when the Constituent Assembly was formed, which make the Constitution of India, first of all, they have to decide these some basic questions. Okay, what type of system they are going to follow. So they decided they will going to follow the democratic economy, right? Democratic system, right? Democracy yogi, where all the people have a right, where there will be the government of the people, for the people, by the people. Second one, what kind of economic system we are going to follow, whether socialist, capitalist, right? So this is the main decision of the policy maker, you can say constitution maker, or those who are going those who are sitting in the center at the top level, or they are making that, right? Consumer is king, producer will produce what would be, Bhumika is saying, what would be as per the consumer choice. Very good, right? So absolutely. So that is the main motto of the private sector. Now we are going to discuss how the resources are allocated in case of the socialist economy. In socialist economy, bachcho, all the factors of production are under the control of government, right? So on the other hand, is accomplished through the revenue and expenditure activity of the governmental budgeting. And what this government budgeting is said here, batao jara mujhe. In previous session, I have already told you what the term we use, and that term is the also heading of this chapter. What the term is used for the budget. Good. So what the term we use for the budget, batao, I have told you in the last session. Even in the beginning of this session today also I have used that word. Can anyone? Right? Budget. What is budget? Budget fiscal. Very good, Himanshu. Budget is said to be fiscal. Sayyed is also saying fiscal. Jia, Diksha. Very good, bacha. Okay. So this is basically the fiscal policy or fiscal function, what we are going. So now, whenever there is a socialist economy in any economy, now how the resources will be distributed, it depends on the fiscal policy of the government, which is constituted as the government income, revenue and government expenditure. Good, Jaspreet, very good. Okay, all of you are aware about that. It means you are listening my lectures, my sessions very carefully, right? So this is clear to all of you. So in real world, resources allocation is both market determined and government determined. So now we have discussed so far that either the resources will be distributed by the private sector, that is followed, that culture, that system is followed in the capitalist economy, right? Where price mechanism, free market forces of demand and supply works together, right? And in socialist economy, through the fiscal or resources, through the government determination, government decision. But in practically, in real world, most of the countries who are following the mixed economy system, it different thing. Some economies is following mixed economy, but tilted towards the socialist economy, more power is under the government rule, and some economies are following the mixed economy but tilted towards the private sector, capitalism, more freedom is given to the private sector. So there may be a this kind of thing. So in Indian economy also, bachcho, I want to share the one thing ki in Indian economy before 1991, right? Are you all aware about the year 1991 in the history of the Indian economy? It was the turning point in the development after freedom, after 1947. That was year 1991. Can anyone tell about what is the significance of year 1991 in Indian economy? Yes, Himanshu is saying LPG, very good. LPG, Bhumika, Ramchandra, very good. Right. So LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. It is also called new economic policy. It is also known as the economic reforms. Am I right, बच्चों? So इसको आप इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी भी बोल सकते हैं, न्यू इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी बोलते हैं इसको. दिस इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड इकोनॉमिक रिफॉर्म्स. वेरी गुड. जेमसीना, वेरी गुड. So now you must be aware, you must learn about this ki before 1991, right? Before 1991, from the very beginning, after independence, Indian economy in India, we adopted the mixed economic system from the very beginning, right? But before 1991, mainly our mixed economy was tilted towards the socialist economy because most of the control, a large control was under the government, private sector. Because why they introduced LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization? Why there was need? Because the economy was totally controlled by the government, right? Private sector has a very less freedom. So now it was demanding that private sector should be given the some liberty, some liberalization, privatization, globalization, right? So is it clear? So first of all, earlier 1991, it was also a mixed economy, but tilted towards the more of the features consisting of the socialist, right? After 1991, our economy is now taking the more share of more involvement of the private sector, right? So in real world, both are working, both system are working together. So in market economy, first of all, we are discussing here the market economy, right? What is market economy? Again, I am saying capitalist economy. Yes, Jaspreet, currently there is a mixed economic system in India, but right, but more I have already said you कि after the LPG introduction of LPG, it is mainly concerned about the private capitalism, but hai mixed economy, both are working, but more liberalization has been given to the private sector, which is the need of the hour, you can say, right? Now we are in this paragraph, what this paragraph says, market economy is subject to the serious malfunctioning in several basic respects. See, there are three types of systems. I have already discussed economic system, and these three economic systems, mainly two, capitalist and socialist economic system, they have their merits, they have also their demerits. If we are talking about the market economy, that is capitalist economy, there are serious malfunctioning. There are some problems, some limitations, right? Some bottlenecks, whatever the word you can use, right? So in several basic concepts, for example, there is competition among the competition hoga. It may be sometime it is favorable, sometime it is unfavorable, right? But in here in private sector, where the private sector is working, they are mainly concerned for the profit motive, not social welfare. They are charging the high price. They try to charge the high price. They generally exploit the labor, right? All these kind of problems are there. There will be inequality of income and wealth. Rich becomes more richer, poor becomes more poorer, right? So business community, the big business houses will regenerate their profit from their profit, right? So there are some situations. There is also problem of non-existence of the market in various situations. और बहुत सारी situations ऐसी होते हैं. Malfunctioning means not proper functioning, Sudhanshu, right? What is the meaning of malfunctioning, sir? So malfunctioning means where the system, where the market is not functioning proper in a proper way. You can say problems, you can say limitations, you can say uh, right, bottlenecks, hurdles, all words you can use, right? So there is also the problem of non-existence of market. And in some situation, there is a market do not exist. What is market, sir? Market means existence of buyers and sellers, communication between buyer and seller, right? Market demand supply equilibrium. In many cases, this doesn't happen freely. While private goods will be sufficiently provided by market, private goods तो आपको मिल जाएंगे. If you are going to the capitalist economy, private goods you will get. Now, sir, what is private goods? This is the main things which we will discuss in the second unit of this chapter. Second unit of this chapter is mainly related to the private and public goods. But here I can say you private goods are those goods which are personally used by me. The food item I purchase from the market for but the clothes I have purchased from the market, from the shop, from the e-commerce site, right? These goods are the private goods because I have paid for them. So I have the exclusive right कि I will enjoy these goods. I will enjoy that food. I will not share this to anyone because I have, these are the private goods, right? Your house, your own bed, your own furniture, your own uh, car, bike, right? All these are your private goods. But so in capitalist economy, in free market economy, private goods will be sufficiently provided in the market, but public goods will not be produced in sufficient quantity by the market. Now, what are the public goods, sir? Public goods are those goods where there is no specific right of any particular person. All person have their right. The roads, the parks, the street lights. You cannot uh, stop anyone by using these, whether they are paying the taxes or not. These are the public goods, public park, public places, right? Uh, Road, right? So in private sector, in free market economy or capitalist economy, yes, bus transportation, government hospitals, schools, very good. All these are the public. Yes, Imanshu. Non-existence of market means those areas where huge investment needed and no or less yield. Hence, private sector is not willing to invest. Very good. Yes. So non-existence, what I am saying, there is either there are not a buyer or there is not a seller. Means because market always formed with the two pillars of the market. Main pillar are buyer seller. So the non-existence of the market means where there are no producers. Why? If you say the private sector to make the roads and make it public and do not charge from the public, whether they will invest in that sector, whether private sector will invest those sector where there is a no income source, where there is very few income. No, they are working for they are looking for the huge profit. So there is the non-existence of the market. So at that time, in those cases, the government has to come forward, right? So public goods will not be able. Is it clear, बच्चों? समझ में आ रहा है? Right? So in those cases where there is a non-existence of the market, the government has to come forward, right? And for the case of public goods, in a free market economy, in the capitalist economy, public goods will not be produced in a sufficient quantity so that everyone can enjoy, everyone can get the benefit of these, right? So this is called market failure. Now, why do market fails to give right answer? So we will discuss it in the next session. Good. Very good. So now the question is the resources, whether the resources allocation is efficient, right? What is the efficient allocation of resources? Efficient allocation of resources means the resources should be allocated in the different uses, whether this is land, labor, capital. The resources should be allocated, should be distributed in different cases, in different places, so that how much factors are required where there are those factors are available, right? Neither excess nor shortage. Neither there should be excess of the resources over any particular sector, or nor there should be shortage of particular sector, right? How much factors, how much resources are needed in particular in different sectors should be available. So efficient allocation of available resources in economy take place only when free and competitive market structure exists and economic agents. What is the meaning of economic agent, sir? Economic agent means buyer and seller. Buyer and sellers are the economic agent because economy किससे चल रही है? इन्हीं से चल रही है. मैं अगर मैं मार्केट की बात करूं, otherwise there are so many agent in the economy. Economic agent for the in the context of the market, we can say buyer and seller, right? Or these buyer and seller are everywhere means I have already discussed you in the last sessions, whether it is a capital market, financial market, there will be borrowers and lenders. So borrowers, there are buyers creating demand for the capital, and lenders who are providing loan like bank and financial institutions, they are working as the supplier, right? So such efficient allocation, yes, efficient means optimum, very good. Jaspreet is saying, okay sir, as private sector will only focus on their profit, no social. Yes, yes, they will produce less of the public good. Very good, you are getting the point. Market failure which hold back the efficient allocation of resources occur mainly due to the following reason. Now we are going to discuss. These are the reason why the market failure is there. And whenever there is a market failure, it means there will be not efficient, or you can say inefficient allocation of resources happen in the free market economy, in the capitalist economy. Now, what are the reason behind that? These are the reason, right? Free market system means, free market system means where there is a no interference of the government. You can say totally capitalist economy, totally in private hands. And the prices, what should be the prices? It depends on the equilibrium of market demand and supply. Neither government will put the price ceiling there. What should be the maximum price? Neither government will put the floor pricing there. What should be the minimum price? That is only based on the free market forces of demand and supply. Is it clear, Ram? Now, see what are the following, what are the reasons behind the market failure and where there is a inefficient allocation of resources. The first one is imperfect competition or presence of monopoly power. These types of market, imperfect competition, right? You have learnt about this in a microeconomics in foundation level, right? Okay, what is the meaning of monopoly? Monopoly means where there is a single seller of selling, producing that commodity. There is no competition. So whenever there will be no competition and any product has a monopoly form of market, the monopolists will always try to exploit the consumers while charging the higher prices, right? So there is a no competition for monopoly market, right? Yes, CSR, all these concepts you are looking better, CSR, corporate social responsibility, right? These concepts are the new concept arising, and these are the concept where the government has taken the initiatives, right? Whenever government doesn't interfere, do you think the private sector willingly, deliberately, अपने आप से, they will follow the CSR? No, this is the compulsion by the government. The government has raised the compulsion in the Companies Act, Companies Law, Companies Act 2013 in the context of Indian economy. That 2% of their profit or whatever, the 2 or 3, I think, they have to spend on the CSR. So government making here interference now, because government is saying the market failure is there. So no private sector are willing to spend on the welfare activities, right? So government has to intervene there. So obviously, if there will be free market economy, free market structure, market failure, so there will be no such kind of CSR and all. Is it clear? right? So market typically fail to provide collective goods. Collective goods means public goods, those goods which are used by the common people all. So in a where there is a market system, where there is a private sector, they do not take bother about that whether the goods are consumed by all the people. It should be provided at a low price. It should be provided as a free of cost. No, they have the simple motive to earn the profit, right? Those who are paying them well, those who are paying them high price, they are selling this. CSR means corporate social responsibility. It means where the companies has a social responsibility that they will spend on the social welfare. And because in companies law, Companies Act 2013 of in India, there is a compulsion that they have to spend. And you are now you can see that the big business houses like in India, I can say Reliance, Ambani's, they have their own NGOs, right? Neeta Ambani is the chairperson of look for that. So this is the, in all cases, the big business houses, whether it is a Tata Group or whether it is a Reliance, Adani, Ambani's, all they are now following this. Either how can they contribute? They can contribute to the social welfare by either by creating their own NGO, or they can even contribute, they can even donate some part of their profit for a social cause, for the different such type of NGOs who are working for the welfare cause. Is it clear, bachcho? Next one is market fails to provide the right quantity of the merit goods. What are the merit goods? Obviously, the merit goods are those goods which are necessary for all. Yes, Tata Trust, very good. Jaspreet is saying, sir, say if there is a capitalist economy and government saw that the private sector is doing their own thing, not only profit, social consideration, and government intervene, it will become a mixed economy, sir. No, you cannot say mixed economy. We see mixed economy system. Sometime, yes, up to some extent you are right. Many times क्या होता है कि you have formed the capitalist economy, but as the time goes on, right, as the situation changes, as the circumstances changes, automatically the economic system change, right? You can say कि sir कितने साल पहले है ना, how many years earlier the constitution of that economy was made. No, there is a provision for the uh, complicated process, but there is always a provision even to amend the constitution also. So yes, if there is a market failure going on, the people are not getting the merit goods, the people are not getting the public goods or welfare activities, so government can intervene. And how the government can intervene? You see, if there is no provision in their constitution, they have to amend the constitutions, right? So yes, there will be some kind of this. COVID vaccination, see, any type of vaccination, whether it is a private or public, it depends on the situation, bache. Because that COVID was become the, you can say कि एक natural calamity एक तरीके से बन गया, right? You can say the, what you can say कि it was a right. So pandemics, right? So in that case, it becomes the public goods because everyone, there was a shortage. If you can say ki it will be, you have to buy it from the private medical shop. They will start it. They will obviously would start the hoarding them, and they will raise the prices. So at that situation, when there was panic everywhere, right? Every kind of people at a mass level, right? Then it become the public. So why the government purchase, right? This happened in the India also, na? Ki at that time government purchased these medicines as a low cost from the company, private company, and free of cost they government provided the 2 dose and later on the third dose, precaution dose, right? What is not clear, Yashika? Yes, pandemic. Right. So it depends on whether vaccine is public or private. So COVID, obviously it becomes a public because that was the situation at that time. Yes. Right. So Ritika, CSR बच्चे social responsibility, social corporate social responsibility है. It means every corporate sector or company has some social responsibility. It means out of their profit they must spend the money on the welfare activities, right? This is called the CSR. Now the next thing is common property resources are overused and exhausted in individual pursuit of self-interest. Right? It means many times it has been seen that common property resources are overused. Common property resources means those properties where there is a common right of all, like road, parks, है ना? So whenever there is a free market economy, such kind of parks or these are the overused by the people. Those who have a much more money, they will get a control. They will overuse those resources for their individual self-interest, right? And public interest is ignored there. This is the reason of market failure. Externalities which arise when the production and consumption of goods or services after affect the people. Now, what is the meaning of externalities? There are two types of externalities, say positive, negative in both production and consumption. We will discuss in detail in the next unit, right? Where there is a in detail. But here I can in short tell you, explain you what is the meaning of externalities. Externality means suppose any person say we are discussing the positive externalities, right, or negative externalities. So if negative externality is taken, so it means if a person use the resources, say a businessman built his in a factory, right, and near about the you can say ki near about the residential area. Now why he settled down his factory in that congested or settled area? Because their residential area, there he will get the easily market, he will get easily resources, he will get easy access to the labor. So the industries will prefer to locate the factory at that places where the resources are easily available. Now what is the negative externalities here? Right, he will get the resources at a low cost easily, right? But due to his action, he will make the profit. No doubt, he will make the profit, but through his action, the people get suffered. There will be pollution, there will be water pollution, air pollution, the health of the people decline, right? So this is called negative externalities. When someone is getting the benefits and other are suffering, and that person is not even penalized for him, he is not get penalized, उसके ऊपर कोई penalty नहीं लग रही. And positive externalities means कि whenever you create anything and due to which the other surrounded person or environment also get the benefit and then do not have to pay for that, these are called, and in detail it will be discussed in next unit, right? So you can say externality which arise when production and consumption of goods or affect the people and they cannot influence through market and decision. So these are also, but here we will discuss only market failure. So we can say the negative externalities, right? It may be cause of the market failure. Individual pursuit means, Mohit, for the individual purpose. You can see for individual benefit, right? Himanshi is saying the effect of an economic activity for which nothing is paid or earned. Yes, for which you are saying this. Yes, more or less, Subhashri, public goods or common property sources are more or less same thing, right? So individual pursuit, Mohit, is it clear? But yes, married good, Krishna. These are the goods and services that government feels that the people will under consumed or which ought to be, you can say ki provided free at a point. For example, uh, someone of you have asked about the COVID vaccination. So that COVID vaccination at that time when government took the decision to provide it free of cost to the all people, that become the merit good, right? Where government think it as the situation, the everyone should get it. So government take this action and that become the merit goods, right? Is it clear, Vedan? What is the merit good, Krishna? Chalo. Now, the other reason, factor immobility, which cause unemployment and inefficient in free market economy. Always क्या होगा? In a free market economy की हम market failure discuss कर रहे हैं. We are discussing about the failure of the market system. Why the market failure? Why there exists a market failure? So one of those causes is there. Another cause is factor immobility. Means factor do not move from one to another place, right? Wherever the private sector, private enterprises, industries distribute their factors, they do not shackle them, they do not, right? So in that case, the immobility of factors, right, causes the unemployment, inefficiency of the resources, imperfect information. This is also the reason. In many cases, there is a imperfect information. But about information, information about the product, information about the services, right? If simple सी बात है, if there is a defect in a product of a seller, of a producer, do you think the producer or seller will tell you about the defect of the product कि हाँ इसमें defect है, ले जाओ? No. And ये तो आपने भी उसमें भी पढ़ा है, लॉ में, सेल्स ऑफ गुड्स एक्ट में पढ़ा है. You have read about this in a sales of goods act. क्या पढ़ा है? Let the consumer be aware. पढ़ा है ना? Let the consumer be aware. तो इस be aware means कि कंज्यूमर को खुद ये देखना पड़ेगा. गुड्स सेलर की ड्यूटी इतनी होती है, अगर वो गुड्स है तो गुड्स वो आपके सामने रख देगा, वो कहेगा यू कैन चेक. आप कपड़ा लेना जाते हो, आप क्लॉथ लेने जाते हो, आप चेक कर लो भाई कहीं से कुछ भी है, वो बोलता है भाई खुद ले गए तुम. तो इन परफेक्ट अगर आप बात करेंगे मार्केट फेलियर की, वेयर देयर इज ऑल अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ प्राइवेट सेक्टर. सो प्राइवेट सेक्टर विल even they are for making profit. So many times they hide the information from the buyer, right? And in many cases there is inverse also. In some cases buyer hide the information to the seller, right? Is it? Yes, Fovea temperature. Very good, Jaspreet Kaur. Very good, right? This is called the let the buyer beware. Very good. Very good, Jaspreet. Yes, Sudhanshu. Diksha, good. See, so all these are the imperfect. In many cases, I have told you that even consumer hide the situation from the buyer, from the seller or service provider. Can any one of you suggest any such case? कि जहां पे कंज्यूमर इंफॉर्मेशन छुपा रहा है, हाइड कर रहा है. The buyer should inquire as a man of order. ठीक है बेटा, ठीक है. So बताओ मुझे, क्या किसी को ऐसा पता है कि इन केस, मैंने क्या बोला, इन केस ऑफ इम्परफेक्ट इंफॉर्मेशन देयर इज दिस टाइप ऑफ इम्परफेक्ट इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम कैन बी बोथ साइड, बाय फ्रॉम द सेलर, सेलर से तो आपने देख लिया, बट फ्रॉम मेनी टाइम्स फ्रॉम द साइड ऑफ द बायर ऑल्सो. कैन एनीवन टेल द such type of example? Any example? Yes, Bhumika, absolutely right, beta. Very good. In case of insurance, you see the policy holder, ये prospective holder, policy holder, generally hide their health issues, right? Their bad habits, they are small. There are the such type of information they have to take on the form, राइट. सो पॉलिसी फॉर्म जब वो पॉलिसी भर रहे हैं उसके लिए तो उनको भरना होता है उसमें, तो उसमें आता है कि वेदर दे हैव एनी मेडिकल इशू, हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम, राइट. सो जनरली दे इग्नोर इट, दे नो दे से नो, राइट. इफ दे आर smoker, they smoke, they drink, no. So that is also imperfect situation from the part of consumer to the seller. Is it clear? Chalo. So these are an inequality in the distribution of income and wealth. I have already discussed that when there is a private sector, there will be the unequal distribution of income and wealth. So these are the problems. These are the reasons why in a market system or capitalist economy, you can say free market system, their market failure arises. Is it clear, bachcho? Is there any doubt? So according to the Musgrave, the state is in state. What is the meaning of state here? State means government, right? The state means here government is the instrument by which the needs and concern of the citizens are fulfilled, and therefore public finance is connected with the economic mechanism. So why the public finance is needed? Because in such cases where the need of the concerned person, where the person living below the poverty line, right, they are not getting the benefits, they are not getting the even their fulfilling their basic needs, so government has to interfere. Now the need of public finance arises. Now government should allocate their budget, they should providing the free medical facilities, like in India it is Ayushman Bharat, right, the scheme of the government Ayushman Bharat, or the scheme of Jan Dhan Yojana, or the scheme of so that those people can get the benefit of the banking sector or banking services, right? And Ayushman Bharat, where they are getting the health insurance by the government or medical facilities, right? So here these are the public finance, right? So government is providing even for the new entrepreneur classes like you students, right, who have a idea in their mind, fantastic idea, but they do not start their businesses because they have a shortage of the funds. So government is providing under the startup scheme the finance at a very low cost, very low rate of interest, right? So this is the reason why the public finance is needed, and this is the role of public finance. Is it clear? I think यहाँ तक किसी को कोई डाउट तो नहीं है बच्चों? Yes, start. Yes, Himanshu, see, what is the market failure in simple terms? I can say you in the simple terms, market failure is that, and market failure is mainly in a private sector, right? Where there will be the private sector, there will be monopoly or such type of market, or you can say privatization hoga, totally private factors ke aate hain. Then market failure means when the resources, when the goods and services are not properly distributed among the all people, right? All the people are not, the people living the below poverty line are not even able to fulfill their basic needs. They do not get their food both time. They do not get the clothing, education for their children, right? This is the market failure, na? But some people are enjoying the very comfortable, right, life, and someone are even deprived from their basic needs, right? Yes, inefficient. Jaspreet, absolutely. Inefficient allocation of resources means market failure. See, this is all about the. Now the question is how government, what government can do here. हमने बोला ना कि there, these are the reasons we have discussed so far, the reasons for the market failure. Now the question arises how the government will control this market failure, this, right? So these are the points. A variety of allocation instruments are available by which government So government has available all these resources which are here. These are some examples, right, through which the government can influence the resources allocation in economy, and the government will try to uh, somehow simplify, or somehow you can try to make the efficient use of resources in the economy, right? Now, what are these type of instruments in the hand of government? First, the government may directly produce economic goods. Means the government says no permission will be granted to the private sector to produce these goods. Like in example, in our economy, Indian economy, railway. The railway has a sole monopoly power in hand of central government, right? Because railway, is a long distance. In a long distance transportation, railway is a very cheapest mode of transportation for the people in India, right? Any kind, because I am not here talking about the first class AC or second class AC, right? Even in long distance journey, from Delhi to Madras, or so in long distance journey, if you go by road, it will be very expensive, but train is the cheapest mode of transportation, right? So why government has not privatizes, right? Finance, defense product, right? Defense product आप दे दो लोगों को, क्या होगा? The private sector, the people will started making their own bombs, है ना? Their own kind of this, and if there is any type of call between them, they will shoot anyone, right? There will be no trace of having license or not, right? So all these are even water distribution. In case of water, so municipality in every city, in every their municipality has a right to supply the water to the people. If the all these goods are for those, you can say first way is directly government produce these economic goods. For example, electricity, public transport services, right? Economic good means the goods for which you have to pay money, which you are buying earlier in the market. Now government is providing you, but at the reasonable rate, right? In case of electricity, अब देखो electricity के case में क्या होता है? In many situation, in many places, government for agriculture, government is providing them electricity as a very subsidized rate, because it is in hand of the government, na? If it is in the hand of private sector, they will never provide the electricity to the cheapest or subsidized rate, na? Public transportation services. Second, the government may influence private allocation through incentives and disincentives. For example, tax concession. Many times government says the private sector, you will reduce the price of such goods, right? Then why the private sector reduce the prices of these goods? Because government will pay them the subsidies, right? The difference between the price and the price what they were earlier charging and what they are reducing, the gap will be paid by the government as a subsidies. Yeah, government will pay them the tax concession, right? So in that case, the government can also promote the welfare by providing incentives or disincentives. Now that was the incentives. Now what is disincentives? Disincentives that where the social welfare is harmed, like cigarette, alcohol, all these goods are harmful for the society, for the families, for the person consuming them, right? But how government can stop them by using? Because they say ki I prefer them, right? And they have a utility for them. Cigarettes, alcohol, those who are using them, those who are consumer of them, they are getting utility, na? So how the government can, what the government can do there? The government put the higher taxes and imposed on higher taxes can be imposed on such, so that their prices rise and some people will not purchase them, right? Government may influence the allocation through its competition policy, merger policy, what affect the structure of industry and commerce. For example, Competition Act, right? Where I have already told you कि where there will be the monopoly, there will be more market efficiencies chances will be there, right? But and sometime imperfect competition जब होता है, तो क्या होता है कि some private firms when are in competition, they are doing not fair competition. So there is a competition act in India which promotes the competition, where government says promote, and all types of activities which prevent they prevent to the anti-competitive activities, right? Government try that there should not be monopoly of any particular brand. So government promote the competition, and when there will be the competition, there will be the benefit of the consumer, absolutely, right? How? First, the consumer will get the variety of the products, right? And there will be less price in the market, because due to the competition, the firms will try to cut down their cost. They will minimize their cost so that they can provide at the low price as compared to their competitors, and this will be the beneficial for the consumers. Is it clear, bachcho? Government regulatory activities, and many ways, in many cases government has a regulatory activities like licensing. Government provide license only to those who are uh, supplying them at their country. A control over some goods and services. Minimum wage act, where the government fixes for the labor, because we are talking about the, yes, quality product. uh, Third point again. Okay, what is the third point? Third point is government may influence the allocation through its competition policy. What is competition policy? You know, in India, earlier it was the MRTP Act. What was MRTP Act? Monopolies Restrictive Trade Practices Act. Earlier, this was in existence earlier from 1991, where the government has restricted the monopoly को रोकने के लिए गवर्नमेंट MRTP एक्ट लगा रखा था, where those companies who have their capital value more than 100 crore, they will come under the MRTP, and they have to pay the higher taxes to the government, and every time for the expansion of business they have to ask the permission from the government, right? But after that the MRTP has been abolished, उसको हटा दिया, उसकी जगह competition act ले आए. Now what is the main motive of competition act? The main motive of competition act is that the government wants the purpose of the government is that there should be competition among the different brands, different firms in the market, and this competition should be fair competition, right? This should be fair competition, and whenever there will be more competition, government is enhancing, is encouraging the competition in the market, right? So इससे क्या होगा? Whenever there will be competition among the market, the companies, different companies will try to produce more variety of goods, right? And whenever there will be more goods and services will be produced in the economy, the consumer will get the benefit, even in the choices and in the form of prices also, right? Is it clear, Jaspreet? Sayyid is asked, sir, when government is taking these many steps to influence the allocation, then why is resources allocation still critical problem? See, if you are asking about the India or such type of economy, those economies who are very large economies, right? So this is very large economy. You can you imagine the size of the market where there is a population of almost across the 130 crores, you know? So there are so many problems, and the government is now taking the initiatives, and whenever you take the initiative, it takes some times, and for such a large economy, it may takes many years to settle down the situation to right. So these are the, so government is taking the steps, and now the situation is somewhere very much better than the earlier. ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं हो रहा, somewhere this is better than earlier, right? But still it will take the time, right? So government's regulatory activities, then government set the legal and administrative frameworks भी बनाती है, government law pass करती है. Administrative framework means government एक administrative structure बनाती है, government उसको administer करती है. Any mixture of the intermediate method may be adopted by government. Government intermediate method follow कर सकती है. For example, अगर हम hospitals की बात करें, so there are private hospital also and government hospital also, right? So those who can afford, they can pay, right? Say they go to the private sector. Those who cannot afford, they go to the government sector. So there is a mix of intermediate method, right? In case of electricity अगर हम बात करें, right? So these types of different methods government can pay. Even in railway you can see for the people who are above 60 years age, the fare is 50% for them. And in there are some trains where the from the small cities, the patients of the cancer come to the Delhi or big cities for their treatment of cancer. For those patients, government has make it free, the travel from the railway. Is it or not? So all such kind of methods government can adopt to give the benefits, to reduce such market failure. Yes, Jaspreet, very good. When competition will increase, there will be more supply and price will fall. Absolutely right. Examples of administrative framework means administrative framework, you can say जैसे लीगल में तो हो गया कि गवर्नमेंट जो है वो लॉ पास कर देती है, लाइक गवर्नमेंट ने जीएसटी ले आई है ना, मैं लीगल की बात कर रहा हूँ अभी, फिर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पे आता हूँ। कि जैसे लीगल में हम बात करें तो गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ लीगल स्टेप्स उठाए, करप्शन को खत्म करने के लिए डीमोनेटाइजेशन किया, राइट, और टैक्स अवॉइडेंस को बचाने के लिए जीएसटी इंट्रोड्यूस किया, मल्टीपल ऑफ टैक्सेस को बचाने के लिए। दीज आर द लीगल कुछ स्टेप्स होते हैं। एक होता है आप कह रहे हो कि ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव फ्रेमवर्क की अगर हम बात करें, राइट, तो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव का मतलब होता है कि जहां पर गवर्नमेंट का एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन हो। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल, इसके एग्जांपल लेते हैं, राइट। सो अब देखो, इसको ध्यान से सुनते हैं। अब जैसे अगर हम बात करें कि you can say कि in case of government has making such kind of administrative system where there are some methods are following by the government, so that for example मैं इसका एग्जांपल लेता हूँ, बैंकिंग सेक्टर लेते हैं हम। चलो मैं और भी एग्जांपल दे सकता हूँ, पहले हम वहां से स्टार्ट करते हैं जो आप लोगों को पता है, which you have seen as being in your surroundings, right? For example, if we take the banking sector, so in banking sector the government has made a such kind of administrative framework where there is a RBI, regulatory body is RBI, right? So what is the role of RBI? RBI's role is that it will control, it will supervise all the agents in the financial sector called banks and other financial institutions, so that the benefit of the banking facilities, savings and investment can be reached to each and every person, right? Similarly, in case of stock exchange market, you see government, yes, police also, I am coming to that also. So in case of, you can say ki in a capital market where there are people investing their money, people are going to buy the different kinds of stocks, shares of different companies, right, investing them to earn the more profit or return. So earlier when SEBI was not introduced, SEBI, you know, Security Exchange Board of India. So when SEBI was not formed, that market was very risky. But when the government take an action, government make an administrative framework where there is a regulatory body appointed on these stock market, National, Bombay, all these stock market. So there are now the stock market is less risky. Similarly, police, defense, army, these are the come under the administrative framework, right? तो पुलिस जब है, यू आर फील सिक्योर्ड, राइट, यू आर फील सिक्योर्ड. डिफेंस है, यू फील सिक्योर्ड फ्रॉम द outside enemies, right? So all these are these. Is it clear, bacha? Mega. So all these are the steps which government can take. Yes, Ram is saying, sir, if market fails from private sector, government will intervene. But if government sector fail, who will intervene? Right. See, when government fails, then public will intervene. Public will intervene. How? You have the right in the democracy, na? बदल दो government को, right? Change the government, right? So you have the right in democracy. You have the right. If any party, what is government? The government is the representative of the people. आपने उनको elect किया, आपने उनको भेजा. मैं तो इंडियन कंटेक्स्ट में बात कर रहा हूँ, राइट? सो अगर आप और मोस्टली, और अगर आप उसमें जाते हैं, इफ गवर्नमेंट फेल्स, so you have a right, you change the government. Next time the public will not give them the chance, and the other parties who have their agendas, who have their manifesto, which is for their benefit, they will introduce them. So public itself will change them, na? Government itself will change them. Is it clear, Ram? Now, maximizing social welfare is one of the primary and most commonly manifest reason of the government intervention, right? So is it clear, very clear, why government intervene? Government intervene for the efficient allocation of the resources and maximizing the social welfare, right? Government failure may be many times, वही आगे बात देखो, but you have asked here, the government failure is said to be many times, this is likha bhi, it is also possible instead of eliminating market distortion, sometimes government intervention may contribute to generate them. Such instances are referred as to government failure. Many times there is a government failure, right? So when government failure is said to occur when government intervention in the market creates inefficiency. Many times there are some situation when you can say ki, for example, I am not saying ki this was the government failure, but some people, for example, we can take when there was demonetization, the initiative of the government was very positive, right? Very appreciable, because the thinking was to reduce the corruption, right? But मैंने आपको बोला ना कि in such a large economy you cannot say कि whether this will work or not, but you have to make the trial ना, आपको कोशिश करनी होगी. तो गवर्नमेंट ने वो एक स्टेप उठाया and demonetization किया. After that, many people who were not satisfied them, who were criticizing the government, they were saying that was totally blunder, that was totally fail. So in their point of view, they can say this intervention of the government or demonetizing the money, the currency was government failure from the part of the government, right? It was those people's thinking, you know. So there are many times such situation lead where the government has taken the step, but it creates more inefficiency in the market, right? And leads to misallocation of resources. The possible source of this type of government failure are inadequate information. अब इसके chances क्या हो सकते हैं? लेकिन मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि हम ये बात डिमोनेटाइजेशन पे कर रहे हैं, राइट? मैंने वो इसलिए बोला कि some people, those who are criticizing the government, दो कि नहीं वो पर्पस नहीं सॉल्व हुआ या जो भी, कि इवन आरबीआई की रिपोर्ट आई कि उन्होंने बोला कि 99.99% अप्रॉक्स मनी जो है वो केम बैक टू द बैंक्स, राइट? वो वापस आ गई थी. सो बट अगर हम बात करें कि रियल लाइफ में अगर सच काइंड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट फेलियर होते हैं तो उसके पीछे रीजंस क्या हो सकते हैं? एक तो इनएडिक्वेट इंफॉर्मेशन, इट मींस कि गवर्नमेंट के पास एडिक्वेट इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं थी. पॉलिटिकल सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट, या ये हो सकता है कि कुछ पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ने अपने सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट के लिए, पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स ने अपने बेनिफिट के लिए उसको इंट्रोड्यूस किया. कंफ्लिक्टिंग ऑब्जेक्टिव, कई बार क्या होगा कि ऑब्जेक्टिव कंफ्लिक्ट कर रहे हैं. ब्यूरोक्रेसी मींस आपको पता है ना ब्यूरोक्रेट्स कौन होते हैं? दोज implementing the policies of the government, bureaucrats. like IAS officer, directors, all these are the bureaucrats who are appointed to implement the policies formed by the government, right? They are bureaucrats. Corruption, red tapeism, or high administrative cost, all these can be reason for the government failure, right? वो कह रहे government failure may be relatively consequential if it gets restricted to being simply ineffective, and therefore the cost of such intervention are limited to the resources wasted. But हाँ, जितना प्राइवेट लेवल पे मार्केट फेलियर होता है, गवर्नमेंट फेलियर अगर है तो उस पर उतना ज्यादा इफेक्ट नहीं पड़ेगा. गवर्नमेंट फेलियर जो है मोर सीरियस व्हेन सच इंटरवेंशन हैज जनरेटेड न्यू एंड सीरियस प्रॉब्लम. क्या होता है, अगर मान लो गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन होने से उन्होंने कोई पॉलिसी लाए और एनी नई न्यू टाइप ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट होंगे, है ना, सीरियस प्रॉब्लम्स विच विल हैव फार रीचिंग एडवर्स इफेक्ट, उसका वेलफेयर ऑफ सिटीजन पड़ेगा, देन इट मे बी अ सीरियस प्रॉब्लम, right? Otherwise, mainly government's motive is just to settle down the things, right? Now, the first function of the this policy was over here. Now, the second one is redistribution function. Yes, Jaspreet, you can say this, right? In Delhi, you can say कि public buses के अंदर females के लिए फेयर चार्ज वो नहीं है, right? So the other private जो buses हैं उनके passengers कम हो गए, right? Good example, you can say it may be a, but this is in Delhi, I think, in not all states, है ना, सभी में नहीं है ऐसा, या फिर अभी पंजाब में कर दिया आम आदमी पार्टी ने, तो कैसे. Yes, what is Mohit saying? Mohit saying, what is red tape? Red tape is means yes, absolutely, Varsha. Sri Lanka's government policy for organic, and it was become a big blunder for that economy, ना कि उसकी वजह से ऑर्गेनिक पे आने की वजह से बहुत सारा पेस स्लो हो गया, जिसकी वजह से सब बिल्कुल you are getting my point very clearly, right? So such kind of example shows that you are getting the things. Yes, in Tamil Nadu also no fare for women. Okay, very good. ठीक है. So I think it is clear to all of you what is the meaning of the allocation of resources. Now we come back to the next, we go to the next point, that is redistribution of function. What is redistribution function? You might have noticed that over the past decade there has been tremendous expansion in economic activities, right? Siddhi is saying ki red tape means lot of paperwork. Yes, you can. No, up to some extent you can say paperwork, but paperwork where? Paperwork in government offices, right? File work. Where पहले क्या होता था ना कि every kind of permission you have to take from the government offices, you just move to the files there. And red tapeism generally creates the corruptions, कि where their files will be moving from in a physical form, and from the clerk to upper level, है ना, officers, they move to the files from one to another, and if you give them money to the clerks, they will forward your file earlier, right? Such kind of practices where there was a lot of paperwork, there was lot of physical files moving, these were called the red tapeism. Why it named as a red tapeism? Because if you have seen in the government offices, where there is at now there are some departments where the earlier system is being followed. There is a files, and on those files, government files, there is red tape, है ना, फीता बोलते हैं जिसको, या तो रेड कलर का होता है, उसको बांधते हैं उससे फाइल से, तो वहां से इसका नाम पड़ गया, that got a name red tapeism, right? You can say negligence or most of the paperwork and delay in taking action. All these are the red tapeism, right? So there has been tremendous, so from the past decades अगर हम देखें तो there is a tremendous expansion in the economic activities, है ना, enormous increase in aggregate output and wealth. However, the outcomes of these growth has not spread evenly across the household. लेकिन जो भी ये benefits हो रहे हैं, जो भी ये progress हो रही है, yes, so जो भी ये progresses हो रही हैं, these progresses are not reaching to all households in a equal manner, right? Now the distribution responsibility of government arises from the fact that left to the market, the distribution of income and wealth. Now the redistribution of factors or resources means, right? Very good, Mohit. आजकल सब कुछ online हो गया. Now the all things are online, so these kind of problems are sorted out. Yes, Yashika, red tape is related to under the table money. Yes, you can say that, right? So now अभी क्या हो गया कि these growth is happening, but can you say this kind of economic growth is beneficial to all the segment of the society in equal manner? क्या सबको उसका benefit एक सा मिल रहा है? The distribution of income and wealth among individuals in society is likely to be skewed, and therefore government has to intervene. Skewed means unequal, right? Inequality. So the distribution of all these benefits, all the growth, right? So all the growth is not equally distributing among all the sections of the society. So government has to intervene here, and government has to take the step to make it equalize. A major function of the present day government therefore involves changing the pattern of distribution of income. Now government is mainly working on that, कि the pattern of distribution on income, wealth and opportunity should be changed. The redistribution, इसी के लिए हम उसको, the distributed function of the budget is related to basic question of for whom should the economy produce goods and services. You have all also learned about this, what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, which is the basic central problem of every economy, right? For whom to produce, right? This problem is basically depends on the distribution of national income in the society. It is concerned with the adjustment of distribution of income and wealth in the society, which must be equity, justice, namely equity and fairness. Government इसके लिए क्या करती है? Can redistribute through. अब government redistribute कैसे करेगी? देखो. Yes, saying Rajiv, you are saying rich people get more benefit of the distribution of the. Yes, very good, absolutely right. So redistribution or reallocation same है, हाँ same है. Reallocation you can say, or redistribution. Allocation means distribution, right? So reallocation basically कैसे होगा? आपने पहले क्या देखा? Allocation of resources. First you see allocation of resources, right? Efficient use of resources. Now we are saying reallocation of resources. When the resources are allocated and the government see there is an unequal distribution of the resources of the income and wealth, then how government will skewed मतलब बेटा unequal, not balanced, unbalanced कह सकते हैं आप. Skewed मतलब unbalanced. Basically this term is used from the statistics. Stats में use होता है ना, skewed distribution, है ना, skewed distribution बोलते हैं उसको. तो where there is a imbalance, or you can say कि not equal, unequal, right? So government can redistribute कैसे करेगी government? When there is a gap between the rich and poor, the government, how the balancing this? Yes, to charging the, absolutely right Varsha, to charging the higher prices from on the rich person. That is, our income tax system is a progressive nature. Progressive means as the income of the people rises, their tax rate also rises, right? Tax rate rises with the rise in income. So by charging higher prices from the rich person and providing subsidies to the poor person, the government should try to fill up that gap there, that inequality, right? Absolutely right, Yashika, by taxation and subsidies, right? So this is the main type way, the function by which the redistribution. So the distribution function of the government aims at, what is the main objective of the government? What distribution function? Redistribution. Redistribution of income to achieve an equitable distribution of social output among the households. Whatever the output for whole society is being produced, this should be distributed. And देखो इसमें क्या होता है for the person. Yes, absolutely. Luxury items are have also more taxes, higher tax rate, right? As compared to necessary goods, which are even in some cases there is no taxes on them, right? And also government is doing this work by providing the food grains to the person living below poverty line on a public distribution system, right? Through the ration cards and ration shops or depot, and where they get the Antoday Yojana of the government is working, where the people living below poverty line are getting the wheat and rice or of 2 rupees kg or 1 rupee kg, right? Per kg. Free bus service, yes, well, absolutely. Advancing the well-being of those members of the society who suffer from the deprivation of the different types. So उनको well-being provide करना, like मैंने भी आपको बोला था कि those people who cannot afford the high medical cost. So government is has introduced the Ayushman Bharat Yojana, right? Where government is providing them the many better medical facilities. Providing equality in income and wealth opportunity. Providing opportunities means सबको opportunities मिलेगी. It doesn't matter कि आप अमीर है गरीब है, आप सबको participate करने का उसमें मौका है. जैसे बिजनेस के लिए है, तो जो जिनके पास मनी नहीं थी, those who have no capital या lack of capital, तो government is providing the opportunity under the startup India and these type of scheme. Providing security in terms of fulfillment of basic needs, like बताया मैंने आपको राशन पे पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम पे उनको बहुत कम, इवन यू कैन से कि एट द फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट ही एक तरीके से उनको फूड मिल रहा है. इवन यू कैन से कि एट द टाइम ऑफ कोविड सिचुएशन गवर्नमेंट डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड द राशंस इन all the states free of cost to the people, right? Yes, transfer to money from direct to the farmers, right? बिल्कुल, this is also kind of redistribution. Very good examples. Examples of redistribution functions, the government, जैसे taxation policy of the government, whereby progressive taxes are charged. We have discussed है ना about this कि those who are earning more income, they are paying the more taxes, right? And subsidies to the poor. Proceeds from the progressive or in progressive taxes से जो पैसा आएगा, the government will use it for the financing public services, especially for the benefit of low income people or person living below poverty line, to subsidize food grain, which I am discussing. Then employment reservation and preference to protect the certain segment of the population, like SC, ST quotas, OBC quota for the jobs, employment में. Unemployment benefits, those people who are not getting. पर इसके लिए आपको याद है कि एक योजना गवर्नमेंट की चल रही है, मनरेगा. हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट द स्कीम ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट मनरेगा? महात्मा गांधी नेशनल एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी एक्ट. पता है आपको इसके बारे में? हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट दिस मनरेगा, व्हिच वाज अर्लियर नरेगा एंड लेटर ऑन द गवर्नमेंट चेंज इट्स नेम टू मनरेगा, महात्मा गांधी के नाम पे, राइट? So that there the government is providing even the compulsory 100 days job to those who are who gave their name for the benefit of this scheme. So in many district villages, government has introduced this scheme where the people are getting employment from this 100 days employment guarantee. Yes, and if they are not able to get the 100 days employment, the government will pay them the equivalent wages of the 100 days to them, right? Families below the poverty line are providing with monetary aid and help. Regulation of manufacture and sale of certain product or to ensure health and well-being of the consumer. Special schemes for backward areas government is providing. For example, now the government is providing, for example, ki eastern states like northeast states like which are called seven sisters sister states like Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Tripura, Nagaland, and all these states. So here basically no development or very less development in these states. So government is providing the tax benefits to those industries, those who are setting up their industries. So government उनको 5 years tax benefit, tax holiday देती है, उनको tax नहीं लगता, right? So इस तरीके के says a special economic zone है, very good, very good. So इस तरीके से भी होता है. So all these are the schemes of the redistribution. Now the last function is stabilization function. Now what is the meaning of stabilization, बच्चों? The stabilizations means whatever the fluctuations in the business cycle में क्या fluctuations होती हैं? Boom और recession, right? So उसको हमें stabilize करना है कि जो इतने ज्यादा changes आते हैं suddenly market में, उसको specialize करना है. Yes, you can say, but the Vridha pension yojana is basically redistribution and allocation. Yes, you can say, because that is also a section of the economy of the society which is deprived, because many of the old age person are not getting the pension after retirement, na? And in many cases, whether they their children are not supporting them, or whether they have no children, no one to support them, so government is giving them the benefit. They are also the part of the society, right? So yes, you can say that these kind of welfare schemes, social welfare scheme of such kind of Vridha pension yojana are also such kind of redistribution. Yes. Distribution means, see Mohit, distribution and redistribution. Distribution means ki resources should be allocated properly, right? And redistribution means ki whenever you will do the redistribution after distribution. First of all, clear it. First of all, you will distribute the resources. The first function was the distribution of resources. So whenever there is a market failure, the government will intervene and government will try to distribute the resources. So government usko distribute karni. And after distributing the resources, if government get find out that there are unequal distribution, the benefit of these resources is getting skewed, then government will again intervene and government will redistribute. The government will try to fill up that gap, right? That is the main difference between distribution and redistribution. Is it clear, Mohit? Ram is saying, sir, if many percentage of people either evade tax or fall outside the tax bracket and government keeps on pumping money on expenses, the deficit will never end, right? Then in case how it is equality or fairness, right? Such kind of, देखो, if the people are evading the taxes, now the government is also functioning on that, na? That is also the redistribution. That is also the step taken by the government. Earlier, it was very easy for the people to evade the taxes, right? Earlier, but now the new tax regime, make it very difficult for the people to evade the taxes on such a large scale that was in earlier, right? For example, in GST, right? Since GST has been introduced, you see every quarterly, every time there is a news that this at the end of, at the beginning of this quarter, the GST collection is highest for ever, है ना? तो ये reports are, तो how these taxes are collected by the government is increasing. Earlier there were also indirect taxes, but how? Because the system has been improvised, right? So in also direct taxes, income tax, government has introduced the KYC system in your banks compulsory. Government has introduced the Aadhaar card linkage to your PAN card. All such kind of steps taken by government. Now there is a very less chances for the people to make such kind of tax evasion as it used to be happened in past. Is it clear? So government takes such stance, and whenever you do something, आप कुछ चीज नहीं introduce करेंगे, only then you will get कि what kind of problems are arising, and the government will take the action to resolve them, right? And it is happening. Yes, residential school for tribals. Varsha, very good. Mohit, to remove poverty, all government schemes are yes, redistribution. All the government schemes are redistribution scheme. Now go to the stabilization function. What is the stabilization function? I have told you that whenever there will be the privatization in any sector, any economy, there will be the tendency to create business cycle. What is the business cycle, sir? You know, business cycles is up and down in the market. These are called recession and booms in the economy. The market mechanism is limited in its capacity to prevent or to resolve the disruptions caused by fluctuation in the economic activity. And you see in stock market also the such kind of, and in any type of business market there are ups and downs. In the absence of approval, so if the government do not take the corrective measures, in that time the government has to take the corrective measures here. What are the corrective measures? Corrective measures are that whenever there are recession in the economy, recession means there are deficient demand in the market, aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply. In that case, government will give the tax benefit to the people, the tax concession to the people. Government will provide the lendings or loan at the low rate of interest, so that the government will reduce, banks, central government or central bank RBI will reduce the CRR, SLR, so that more money flow in the market and more demand created. And vice versa in case of inflation. In case of inflation, when there are prices are very rising at a very high speed, at a very high rate, so at that time government will raise the CRR, government will raise the SLR, because inflation occurs or due to the excess demand, when aggregate demand is more than aggregate supply, right? So these are the policies where government stabilize, so may prolong. तो अगर ये recession और inflation type situations पे government timely initiative नहीं लेगी, corrective measure नहीं लेगी, then क्या होगा? Then they will become a for a long period, prolonged बन जाएंगे. तो it should be, so it is also possible that a situation of stagflation, inflation you have learned, deflation you have heard, and I have also told you disinflation. What is disinflation? In previous session I have discussed it. Whenever the prices are increasing but at decreasing rate, this is called disinflation. Now there is another term is used, that is called stagflation. What is stagflation? Stagflation means that there is inflation in the economy, prices are rising in the economy, but still there is unemployment. वैसे क्या होता है कि whenever there will be boom in the economy, whenever there will be inflation in the economy, there will be more employment in the economy. But in case of stagflation, there is inflation, but there is also stagnation in the employment market. There is not creating of much new jobs, or you can also say jobless development or growth, right? Such kind of term you have heard about that. कितने बच्चों ने सुनी है ये टर्म जॉबलेस ग्रोथ? सुनिए ये टर्म इकोनॉमिक्स में इन योर स्कूल लेवल क्लास 11th में ये थी इंडियन इकोनॉमी में टर्म जॉबलेस ग्रोथ. हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट दिस? Yes, Jaspreet is saying, sir, redistribution is needed when there is a no efficient distribution. Very good. But stabilization needed both in case of where there is distribution or redistribution. Yes, absolutely right, Jaspreet. Right. तो आप सब लोगों ने सुना है इसके बारे में. वेरी गुड. तो जो जॉबलेस ग्रोथ होती है, दैट इज बेसिकली कॉल्ड द स्टैगफ्लेशन सिचुएशन. कि देयर आर ग्रोथ इन द मार्केट, देयर आर मोर प्रोडक्शन इन द मार्केट, देयर आर मोर inflation in the market, people are getting the money, aggregate demand is more than aggregate supply, but still there is not creating the job. This situation is called stagflation. The stabilization issue is here कि government should take the action to break such kind of situations, है ना, so that any type of this situation, whether it is recession, whether it is inflation or boom, should not be go prolonged or for a long period. Stabilization function is one of the key function of the fiscal policy. Now, how this stabilization is occurred? By the fiscal policy. How fiscal policy? Fiscal policy में कैसे होगा? बजट में कैसे करेगी गवर्नमेंट इसको stabilize? How the government stabilize? If there is inflation, prices are rising, as you might recall, the वही बात आगे देखो, but I have discussed earlier. The economic crisis that engulfed the world in 2008 and the more recent global phenomena of COVID pandemic, है ना, because economic crisis. So at that time, government has to take the action. The government has to provide the food grains or basic needs food items free of cost, ration to the public free of cost, medicine at the free of cost in vaccination. So stabilization function is concerned with the performance of aggregate economy in terms of labor employment and capital utilization. Overall output and income must be increased. General price level should be in control. Balance of international payment BOP, our BOP should be in balance. Rate of economic growth should be not so much fluctuated, it should be under control, right? All these are the steps. Yes, absolutely, Jaspreet. Setting up the MRPs is also the part of the stabilization function, because a government is fixing the maximum price so that there will be a control over the prices. Now, the government fiscal policy has two major components which are important in stabilizing the economies. What are these? Just a minute. Right. So these are, one is an overall effect generated by balance between resources the government puts into economy through the expenditure and the resources it takes out through taxation and charging borrowings, right? Taxation, charges and borrowings. So we have already discussed about this. The government charge the taxes from the richer person and providing subsidies to the poor. Very good. And second one is to a microeconomic effect generated by the specific policy it adopts. Ki whatever the government policy government adopts in fiscal policy, it will not only affect to the macro level but also to the individuals or households in a macro level. So macroeconomic effect will be also there, right? So you can say this one is the stabilizing. So how the stabilized government make it stabilize? I am already told you. If you go to the monetary policy, ये ला ये देखो हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. In the case of monetary policy, the size of money has to be controlled, and I have already told you. Which screen hasn't moved better? Yes. So you can say in monetary policy also, that was fiscal policy ना, तो fiscal policy के साथ साथ government also work on the monetary policy to balance this. And how monetary policy works? कि at the time of inflation, when there is excess demand in the economy, aggregate demand is more than aggregate supply, then what will government or central bank or RBI will do? It will increase the bank rate, CRR, SLR, so that money supply can be controlled. Similarly, in case of deflation, in case of recession, it will reduce the bank rate, CRR, SLR, so that the demand can be created. Just like that was monetary policy. In fiscal policy, for stabilization purpose, attempt to direct action of individual organization by means of its expenditure and taxation. So in this way government can, or even government can choose to spend in such a way that will stimulate the economic activity. For example, government expenditure on building infrastructure. When government is making infrastructure, making roads, making flyovers, dams, and infrastructure is built, government hospital, government schools, right? So this will also provide the benefits to the people, and there will be uh, stabilization. We know that the government expenditure inject money into the economy. We have always discussed as leakages and injection. So whenever government introduce the expenditure on welfare schemes, where government make the expenditure, it will inject the money in the economy in the circular flow of national income. On the other hand, taxes whenever government, it will reduce the disposable income, right? We have learned about this in last unit. बच्चों अच्छे से हमने पढ़ा था कि whenever government introduce taxes, it will reduce the disposable income, which will affect the demand, aggregate demand को कम कर देगा. So during the recession type in recession, there is a need or demand. The government increase its expenditure and cut down the taxes. And on the other hand, if there is inflation in the economy, the money flow is already high, so government should raise the taxes and reduce the uh, subsidies or its expenditure. So in this way, the government can stabilize the market. So this was all about this unit of second chapter, bachcho, right? So we are taking now a break of the 10 minutes, and after that we will start with the second unit of the this chapter, right? So let us take a break for 10 minutes. So, welcome back student. Now we will continue with the second unit of this second chapter, that is market failure, right? We have so far discussed about the market failure, right? I think all of you are now, right? All of you now know the meaning of the market failure. Basically, market failure is a situation where there is inefficient allocation of the resources, right? Now we must say, we must learn market failure means कैसे होता है market failure. So we have seen that one of the cause of the market failure is the market power. When the monopoly power exists there, when the power of the market is in hands of the any monopoly sector or monopoly form of market, and externalities, positive or negative, we will discuss this. We will discuss the public goods, right? We will discuss the incomplete information, which are the main causes of the, these are the main causes of the market failure, right? So whatever the meaning of market failure, in last before the break, in this session before the break, we have learnt about the meaning of the market failure. Now we will discuss the basically its reasons in detail, right? So here there are these are to the cases are given there. Now on the basis of these cases, there is given an idea about the market failure. Let's see. Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, all of you know about in 2000, in year 2000, 2001, the government started a scheme of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. A scheme जो थी was implemented by the government in the partnership with the state governments, right? What was this Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan? This Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan was that to universalization of good quality elementary education to all the children of 6 to 14 age group, and the slogan of this was, the tagline of this slogan was this, आओ स्कूल चले हम, right? And this was the scheme where the elementary education means 6 to 14 age group, means primary education should be given to all the children in our country free of cost, right? Through this program, government aims to provide opportunity for children to learn about and master their natural environment in order to develop the potential intellectual, spiritual, as well as material things, right? Now, the question is, this right to education is different thing that was incorporated in the that was the right which was incorporated in the fundamental rights of, in our constitution. And yes, you can see ki after including that right to education, the government has taken the major step, that was the this scheme of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Now question is, why do you think government should intervene to provide the education, right? This is now the, you will better understand the purpose of the meaning of the market failure. Now question arise in this case, the why, when there were so many private schools, there were so many government schools also and private schools. So why government intervene to provide education? The government think to provide this because those private schools were not sufficient to provide the education to the all sections of our economy, all section of our society, to the poorest persons, because they were not able to afford such expensive education, right? Yes, very good. Atalji was in the ad of our school challenge. Very good, right? So to remove the inequality, very good, Bhumika. To avoid the monopoly in education sector, Yashika, very good. Mimanchu, because education is costly, very good. So you all get the correct idea and you reach at that point what is the main point related to the market failure. So that was the market failure, that our education system in private hands was not such efficiently providing the education to all the sections of the society. So government has to intervene. Now, what do you think the outcome will be if it is left completely to private enterprises? So it will be commercialization of education, right? Or in many areas, many cases, it is being done also, right? So government अगर private sector में दे देंगे तो it will be totally become the commercialization of the education system, right? Now another case, the Ministry of Women and Children Development implementing two centrally sponsored umbrella scheme. Umbrella scheme means a single scheme which is covering different type of small schemes under that. These such kind of schemes are called umbrella schemes. So namely Integrated Children Development Services and Mission for Protection and Empowerment of Women. First is Integrated Child Development Services. It means कि बच्चे का integrated development हो, means all round development बोल सकते हो, right? So integrated, it means not only to get the bookish knowledge, right? Yes, even government school were not reaching in the remote area. Yes. So इंटीग्रेटेड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट सर्विसेज की अगर हम बात करें तो गवर्नमेंट इसमें क्या कर रही है कि नॉट ओनली टू प्रोवाइड द bookish knowledge to the students or the syllabus content, but there should be sports, है ना, स्पोर्ट्सशिप उनमें डेवलप हो सके. अभी आप देख रहे हो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स में, इवन इन गवर्नमेंट स्कूल गवर्नमेंट इज ट्राइंग टू start such kind of sessions of like entrepreneurship, है ना, for the commerce students in class 11, 12 and even. Why? Because from the school level the government is trying to put the interest among the students, so those who have the in business in community, so that they can become the future entrepreneur for our economy, right? So there should be a integrated child development services, overall all-round development, personality development, you can say sportsmanship, leadership, entrepreneurship, right? And second one is mission for protection and empowerment of the women, right? So mission for protection of youth, there are currently 13 ongoing schemes. Is क्यों बोला इसको? I have already explained you what is the meaning of the umbrella scheme. Umbrella scheme are any kind of such scheme where there are different small schemes, different schemes under that particular name of the scheme are going on. So there are 13 ongoing schemes that target improvements in the condition of women and children. And all these 13 schemes covered under these two broad names, right? So the Union Budget 2021 allocated a total of rupees 28,600 crore for the women specific scheme for the financial year 2021. These programs mainly aim to promotion of the greater nutrition security to the women, right? In rural areas, in backward areas, right? The women, pregnant ladies who are not able to get the nutrition diet, due to which there is a any type of at the time of birth the children have such kind of disablement or such kind of, right? So why these are? Because they are not getting the right nutrition at the time of pregnancy. They are not getting the such kind of medicines, right? So in the you can see the dispensaries, or you can see the health dispensaries, and these type of in rural areas dispensaries are providing such kind of iron tablets, capsules and all these, right? Increasing the women's economic participation for providing the employment schemes, Anganwadi, very good, right? Anganwadi system hai. And healthcare center, right? There are many healthcare centers for the women, right? And for the children also, at the after the birth of the child, the vaccination, providing them vaccination at free of cost in these healthcare centers, and increasing economic participation for the women, right? Women's empowerment and promotion of education of the girl child. राइट। तो इन सब पे गवर्नमेंट जो है वो काम कर रही है। सो द अबव केस इज एन एग्जांपल हाउ गवर्नमेंट एंड स्पेसिफिकली कंस्टिट्यूटेड बॉडीज एड्रेस मींस इसमें गवर्नमेंट एनजीओज को भी इन्वॉल्व कर रही है, राइट। तो उस उनकी हेल्प से भी एनजीओज वगैरह की हेल्प से भी गवर्नमेंट इस पे काम कर रही है टू प्रोटेक्ट द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ women एंड चिल्ड्रन. Now question, since people should ideally recognize women's right, why government has to take such an initiative? Because you all know that what the rights, what the position of women at present in our society, that was not the same the decades back. आज आपसे 10 साल 20 साल पहले जाएंगे तो इतनी आज जो हर जगह आप विमेंस को, है ना, गर्ल्स को देख रहे हैं डिफरेंट फील्ड्स में. इवन आप देख रहे हैं कि विमेन इंडियन क्रिकेट टीम, राइट, their performance, their and in many areas, right? So they are doing equally to the men. So there is a need to recognize their rights and a need to establish the same. Why should government enter? Because if government do not interfere in this system, then our system was male oriented, right? So they will never allow to the females to come forward, right? So government has to take the initiative for their uh, upliftment, for their progress, right? Gender inequality, very good, right? In Air Force also, Varsha, very good. नाउ द कंसेप्ट ऑफ मार्केट फेलियर पे आते हैं. तो इससे एक आइडिया आपको लग गया कि ये जो दो केसेस हमने पढ़े कि व्हाई गवर्नमेंट हैज टू इंटरवेन ड्यू टू सच काइंड ऑफ इनइक्वालिटीज इन द सोसाइटी और उसको कैसे दूर करें मार्केट में. नाउ व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ, आई थिंक मार्केट फेलियर को आप सबको पता चल गया होगा, इसलिए हम वी विल नॉट वेस्ट एनी मोर टाइम, जस्ट सी द concrete definition here. Market failure is situation in which the free market leads. Free market, what is free market? Demand and supply forces, where there is no intervention of the government. To misallocation of scarce resources, where there is a free market but resources are not efficiently utilizing, not scarce resources are allocating efficiently, in sense that there is either overproduction, either there is overproduction of goods and services, or in some cases there is a underproduction of particular goods and services, right? So these are basically called market failure. The reason for market failure, वही perfectly competitive market नहीं है, inefficiency है, और monopoly market है. Market failures are situation in which a particular market left to itself is inefficient. There is unequal distribution of goods and services. This is called market failure. Now go to the reasons. So in this chapter, in this unit, we mainly concentrate on these 4 reasons. There are 4 main reasons mentioned here, major reasons for the market failure, and we will discuss one by one each of them. The first one is market power, that is, you can say monopoly power or externalities, and third one is public goods, and fourth is incomplete information. So move ahead with one by one to these. First one is market power. Market power is monopoly power, है ना? So what is market power? Market power is monopoly power. What is monopoly power? कि whenever there is a monopoly in the market, any single producer or seller producing or selling, supplying the particular commodity in the market where there is no close substitute, right? Then the firm will be able to get profitable rise in market price over its marginal cost. Now see, what is the concept of monopoly power? I am explaining it on the whiteboard because this is a little bit technical concept. What is monopoly power and how this monopoly power arises in the monopoly or any imperfect form of market? Let's see. What is actually the meaning of the monopoly power? See here. देखो बच्चों, so the monopoly power का जो concept है basically, इट इज, ये कहां पर होता है मेनली? अंडर इम्परफेक्ट कंपटीशन। एंड यू नो इम्परफेक्ट कंपटीशन में कौन कौन सी मार्केट्स आती हैं? दैट इज मोनोपली, मोनोपोलिस्टिक कंपटीशन, एंड ओलिगोपोली। और भी है, मोनोप्सोनी, राइट? सो एटसेट्रा, बट these are mainly three kinds of. See, what is the technical concept here which is mentioned in the book, that is price and market cost, marginal cost. I'm trying to explain it with the help of diagram. Listen very carefully. So all these are the imperfect competition market, और इन सभी में, in all these market there is a market, there is a monopoly power, but highest कहाँ पे होती है? This monopoly power is highest in case of monopoly market. Monopolistic में भी होती है, but there is less. Now see what is the monopoly power. See, so I am writing here MP. MP means not market price. MP is monopoly power. What is the formula of monopoly power? Monopoly power पहले तो exist कहाँ करती है? Whenever the price is greater than marginal cost. Price is the price what a firm, what a seller, what a producer is charging from the people for their product, right? So if price is greater than their marginal cost, what is marginal cost, students? What is marginal cost? Marginal cost is the additional cost of producing one more additional unit of a commodity, right? So you can say if the producer is producing one additional unit and it cost it rupees 10, and he is charging 12 rupees price, 15 rupees price per unit, right? 20 rupees. So that is the, so what is the measurement of monopoly power? How you can say कि monopoly power कहाँ ज्यादा है कम है? Monopoly power का formula क्या है? What is the formula of monopoly power? Price minus marginal cost. What is monopoly power? Its formula is price minus marginal cost, right? So P minus MC is the monopoly one. And whenever there will be the price charged by the firm is greater than the marginal cost, right? It is called monopoly power, right? Now see how this monopoly power exists in monopoly and monopolistic competition. So we will see it with the help of diagram. First of all, I am taking the case of perfect competition, because in perfect competition monopoly power is zero, right? So I will discuss you why monopoly power always exists in imperfect market, imperfect competition. So let us take the example of perfect competition. In case of perfect competition, you know very well. First of all, आपको ये पता होना चाहिए what is the equilibrium, producer equilibrium की condition क्या है? You know, producer's equilibrium is where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue and MC must be rising. These two conditions are for producer's equilibrium market, right? You are saying marginal cost includes profit. What kind of profit you are asking here? Normal profit is there, because whatever the cost we are studying in the economics, it is a economic cost, beta. So economic cost, ध्यान से सुना मेरी बात, economic cost consists of the normal profit. So you can say the marginal cost of producing one additional cost unit contain the normal profit of the firm of one additional unit. Yes, right. So see, what are the two condition of producer equilibrium? Where MC is equal to MR, MC must be rising. Is it clear? ठीक है. So वर्षा एंड याशिका, इज इट क्लियर कि इसमें प्रॉफिट होगा बेटा, क्योंकि वट एवर द कॉस्ट वी आर concern in economics always, that is economic cost, and economic cost always consist of explicit and implicit cost, and implicit cost also consist of the normal profit of the firm. Is it clear? Now, what is whether in perfect competition market such monopoly power exists? This is the condition. Now see what is the equilibrium level of perfect competition. You know what is the shape of marginal revenue curve of a perfect competitive firm? Do you know? Here we are taking output or quantity. Here we are taking revenue and cost. What is the shape of revenue cost? Right? What is the shape of the revenue curve? ARMR curve. So here the ARMR curve of the firm is horizontal line parallel to x-axis. You all know about that. And AR is the demand curve of all firms. This is price. Why this is horizontal line? You know, because under perfect competition market, firm is always price taker. Firm is always price taker. So whatever the price set by the industry, yes, whatever the price set by the industry, it is taken by the firm. Now, what is the shape of MC, marginal cost curve? Marginal cost curve is always U shape, right? So see, this is the U shape marginal cost curve. So whenever the marginal cost curve is this, and what is the equilibrium? Where MC is equal to MR, this is the equilibrium point, because both the conditions are getting satisfied here. MR is equal to MC and MC is rising. Now this is the equilibrium point. Now see, at this point when the firm is producing, see, at this point when the firm is producing, its price is equal to its marginal cost, because this is the marginal cost now, and this is the price also. So here price is equal to marginal cost. In perfect competition market, price is equal to marginal cost. Is it clear, bachcho? Now, if the price is equal to marginal cost and the monopoly power formula is, क्या होता है फॉर्मूला? P minus MC. So when MC हम यहाँ पर लाएंगे P minus marginal cost, then here it will be 0. So there is monopoly power is 0. So monopoly power 0 in case of perfect competition. Is it clear? So you can say कि therefore in case of perfect competition there is no market failure. There is no market failure, or this is perfect competition is the case of market success. Only this kind of market, perfect competition market, is the only market which is the case of market success. Market success. All other kind of markets or imperfect kind of market will face the monopoly power, market power, which is the main cause, one of the causes of the market failure. Is it clear, bachcho? Is there any doubt? You can ask. Now I am going to discuss the imperfect market से मोनोपली मार्केट को डिस्कस कर रहा हूं, और इसमें आप देखना कैसे ये राइज होता है. नाउ सी, अब हम यहां पर केस ले रहे हैं इन केस ऑफ imperfect competition. Clear? Very good. Yes, you can say, Pranav, कि market success can never be achieved because market, perfect competition market is, you know, is a hypothetical market. In real life it doesn't exist, right? So perfectly नहीं है, pure होती है. Now see the imperfect market. Even in imperfect market, I am taking the cases of both. One is monopoly and one side is monopolistic competition. In both cases, the firm's AR/MR curve are downward sloping. You know very well, because in both cases firm is price maker itself. So in monopoly market, when you take the AR/MR curve, so what is the major difference here? In monopoly market, AR/MR curve are steeper, much steeper. They are much steeper. Right? AR and MR. And in monopolistic competition market, AR/MR curve are much flatter, because there are so many differentiated product available in the market. This is the major difference. Here AR/MR curves are flatter. Now see, MC curve U shape, right? So we will take here also marginal cost U shape rising. So what is the equilibrium point here? This is the equilibrium point in case of monopoly. And what is the marginal cost as this point? This point marginal cost is this one. The marginal cost is this one. And what is the price? Price is always taken by the AR, because AR is always equal to price. You have learnt about this in microeconomics. So at this equilibrium point, this much quantity is being sold. And at this point, what is the price? So for price, we will go up at AR, right? And this will be the price. So this is the difference, price and MC. It is called monopoly power. It is called monopoly power. Is it clear, bachcho? Now in case of monopolistic also, marginal cost is U shape. This is the equilibrium point. This is the marginal cost. And this is the price. So whatever the difference between price and marginal cost, this is monopoly power. But when you compare this, then this difference will be always greater whenever जितना ज्यादा steeper रखोगे आप AR/MR curve को, this gap will be widened. So monopoly power in both cases, but higher always in the case of monopoly. The reason is quite simple. As in case of monopoly market, there is no close substitute of the product. So whatever the highest price a monopolist can want to charge, it can charge. So there will be more monopoly. So we can say in case of perfect competition market, whether it is a monopoly or monopolistic competition, oligopoly, there always the market failure due to the monopoly power. Is it clear, bachcho? If you have any doubt, you can ask right now. Otherwise, we are going to the next point. So is it clear? I hope with the help of this diagram, it is very much clear to all of you. Yes, in case of, but in case of oligopoly, क्यों नहीं हम इसको लेते? Because in case of oligopoly market, there is no certain demand curve, AR/MR curve of the firm. You have read about the feature characteristic of oligopoly market, and there one of the characteristics is that there is indefinite demand curve. AR/MR curve fix नहीं होते. So this is right. Okay, ji, no doubt. Very good. Now move to the other point, that is called externalities. The second point is externalities. But this point is, I think, very long, so we can take any some small point. मैं discuss कर लेता हूँ, right? So out of 4, we will discuss 2 today's session and 2 will be discussed in next session. So this second point is very much long, so we are taking any short. So we can take the case of the this fourth point, that is called incomplete information. This is one of the another reason why there is market failure. So one reason was monopoly market, monopoly power, which I have discussed you, or market power we bolte hain. The other reason I am taking here is incomplete information, right? Which at the beginning of the chapter, see here, at the beginning of the chapter in the chart, we have to cover these points. Market failure, market power, we have already discussed. Externalities, public goods, these are little bit lengthy topic, so we will cover in next session. I am discussing here the incomplete information topic, right? So what is the meaning of incomplete information? As I have already told you, in many times, many cases, one of the main reasons of the market failure is incomplete information, and this incomplete information may be from the part of the producers or as well as consumers, right? So incomplete information is an important element of competitive market. Perfect, देखो, you have read about the features of the different types of market, right? So when you read about the feature of perfect competition market, there was a feature that was perfect competition. So perfect competition is available in the perfect information, sorry. So perfect information is, or you can say complete information is available in case of perfect what kind of information, sir? The kind of information like consumers have an information about the product quality, product's price, right? Products availability in the market, and buyer sellers are also have an information about the market where the buyers are, right? So perfect information implies both buyers and seller have complete information about anything that may influence their decision making, that may affect their the decision of buyer whether they should purchase the product or not, whether this price is reasonable or not. However, this assumption is not fully satisfied in real market. So this is the complete information or perfect information is basically the assumption of perfect competition market, right? But in real life, where mainly exists the imperfect form of market like monopoly, monopolistic competition, so there is basically uh, this assumption doesn't get fulfilled or satisfied. What are the reason behind that? Often the nature of product, the nature of product service to be highly complex, right? So goods nature of product services like cardiac surgery, the service provided by a surgeon, heart surgeon, cardiac surgery means heart operation जो होता है. So people are not aware about that, na? So whatever the surgeons or heart specialists charge the charges for operation, right? So financial products such as pension products, mutual funds, etc. So there are many types of product and services where people are not aware about them. They are not have any knowledge about. So whenever you go for the this treatment, simple जो disease है या जिस तरीके के, तो उसमें फिर भी हमें पता है. But in kind of cardiac surgery means some person got the heart attack or these, and you go to the doctor and the heart surgeon says ki the surgery have to be done, or right. So in that cases you are helpless there, right? You are helpless there. Whatever the prices the doctor charged or whatever, you cannot, you know, ignore it, or you cannot bargain it, right? So there are many such kind of services where there is a highly complexity and there is no complete information to the service receiver or consumer, right? In many cases, consumers are unable to quickly, cheaply and sufficiently information on the best price. बहुत सारे ऐसे areas है where consumers do not get services this kind of information easily. But at present, you see, now the situation is changing, right? Now the situation is changing. At present, the Google Baba, है ना? The Google Baba is providing you all the services, right? The all services, all the information they are providing you, right? Even I have seen the people whenever the doctor prescribe them the medicines, the people even get on their mobile phones and Google it by putting the name of the medicine. and they get the idea why this medicine has been written by the doctor, right? लिखा होता ना उसमें कि it is for what purpose, for what purpose this medicine has been given, written by the people. Even today, search it on the mobile, there, Google it, they can Google it, right? So now the situation are changing. Now you are able to get the information, but how much this information is trustworthy, relevant or not? Sometime you see in social sites, or there are so many rumors or information which are proved to be wrong. So they are not, they are quickly available, they are cheaply available, but whether they are sufficient information, whether you can totally rely on these information, है ना? So there are many cases where consumer are not able to get the quickly, cheaply and sufficient information at the best price, as well as quality of different product. About the quality of product. But now today you can also see the rating of the product, है ना? On the Google you can see the rating, the different people who have used those product, they put the ratings, है ना? 5 star, 2 star, 3 stars. So now the situations are changing, market is changing, but still there is not so much 100% you can rely on them. So sometimes they misunderstood the true cost and benefits of the product. So this is also the lack of the complete information. Then people are ignorant or not aware of many matters in the market. Generally, they are inaccurate or incomplete data and consequently make potentially wrong choice or decision. So whenever, yes, rating are also managed, Varsha, very good. So that's why I have told you you do not much rely on such kind of information. So these are also you can say ki misguiding, misleading information, right? So this is the information failure. So all these are due to this information failure, they choose the wrong product, है ना? They choose the wrong product. Now see the result in the market. Due to this information failure or any kind of market failure, तो market failure का result क्या आता है? The results in the market failure, वो कह रहे when this happen, misallocation or scarce resources take place, equilibrium prices and quantity is not established through the price mechanism. So क्या सिचुएशन होती है इससे, जो हमने बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर कि the fifth point is incomplete information. Now see, due to this incomplete information, what happens? First is asymmetric information. What is the meaning of asymmetric information? Do you know the meaning of the symmetric, beta? Symmetric का क्या मतलब होता है? Symmetric means equally both side, है ना? Equal both side. Asymmetric information means whether the consumer has less but seller has more information. ठीक है जी? Yes, Manoj. Fabricated false Google reviews. Very good. So that's why I've told ki you cannot much rely on these. Now the asymmetric information. What is the meaning of the what we are going to discuss here? पहले तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए. So we are going to discuss here कि whenever there will be market failure due to the incomplete information, right? There is incomplete information. In that case, what will be the result in market failure? First one is asymmetric information. Asymmetric information occurs when there is a imbalance. But I have told you, imbalance information between buyer and seller. Whether seller knows more or buyer less, or whether in some cases buyer knows more but seller less. So whenever the buyer knows more than the seller, or the seller knows more than the buyer, this is called asymmetric information. This can distort the choices. इसका choices पे effect पड़ेगा. For example, the landlords know more about their property than tenants. So landlords have the more knowledge about their property. What kind of property this? But tenant means who are taking the land on the rent. A borrower knows more about their ability to repay. Yes. Rushabh, very good. Asymmetric means which cannot be divided into two equal parts or same parts. Very good. So I am saying here कि whenever there will be asymmetric information, so क्या होगा उसमें, for example, in case of borrowers, तो borrowers के case में क्या होता है, whenever you apply for the loan in the bank, so as a borrower you are service receiver, आप services ले रहे हैं, you are buyer, you are customer, right? You are applying for the loan, you are customer of the bank. Now the customer has the more knowledge about his income, about his ability to repay the loan, but he doesn't disclose this to the banks. He pertain to the bank that he is easily repay the loan, right? Even many time people make the false salary slip or such kind of, so that they can easily get loans approved, right? In that case, the buyer has a more knowledge about their repaying capacity, and if they hide it from the banks, the bank will get in the situation of the market failure, because they will give the loan to those defaulter or wrong persons, wrong borrowers who will not pay in future. Similarly, a used second-hand car. If you buy a second-hand used car, then the seller have the more information about the vehicle quality, right? But he will hide it from the buyer. Denting and painting कर देते हैं उसमें, or they will hide the whatever the defect is there, right? And in health insurance cases, buyers have more knowledge than in this case. So these are the situation in which one party to a transaction knows a material fact that the other party does not. This phenomena, which is sometimes referred to as a lemon problem, this is called lemon problem, is an important source of the market failure. Now, sir, what is the meaning of lemon problem? Why this is named as a lemons problem? तो बताता हूँ. Actually, one of the economists give this concept and says is lemons problem, because he take the examples of lemons. Means if there are high quality lemons are in the market, shopkeeper is vegetable seller is selling the lemons of high quality, right? For which he is taking the more prices. And if he mixes the low quality lemons, what is the quality of the lemons? मतलब how much juice in that lemon ना. So अगर आप क्या करोगे कि there are more of the lemons which are of high quality, for their prices are high. So if he mix among them the low quality lemons where there is less juice in lemons, and charge the same price for both, so no one can identify. Can you identify, right? So जब आप उनको, तो just the name it as a lemons problem. So basically this is due to the incorrect information or lack in information. We generally either buyer or seller take the wrong decision, wrong product or wrong customer they choose. Next one is adverse selection. This is same as the lemon problem. You will select the wrong product or wrong service. So asymmetric, देखो लिखा है ना, this is related to the asymmetric information. The second point is itself related to the first one. Asymmetric information generate adverse selection which result from hidden attributes. Whenever the seller hides something to the buyer or buyer hides something to the seller, so the other party will get the wrong selection. So adverse selection means wrong selection. Generally refers to any situation in which one party to a contract or negotiation, such as seller, possess information relevant to contract and he hide it from the buyer, and due to which buyer gets stuck in the wrong decision of buying the wrong product, right? For example, insurance market में उल्टा होता है. We have already discussed this. In case of insurance market, the health insurance companies could costlessly identify the health risk of the buyer, and then there is no asymmetric information. If they get the information, suppose they get the medical test of them, right? But in many cases, now there is a competition among the insurance sector also. So many companies are offering to attract their customers, they are advertising that there is no need of say medical checkups for the person below 40 years, or some many are claiming up to 60 years age, 50 year age that they are not taking the medical test. So in that cases, whatever the service holder and a prospective service policy holder will give them the information about their health condition. They will hide their ailments, their disease. So there will be high risk to the policy insurance companies, right? So in that case, they sell their product, their service to the wrong people, wrong person. So this is in both sides. Now the third one is the moral hazard. What is moral hazard? Moral hazard arises whenever there is an externalities, whenever an economic agent can shift some of its cost to other. Moral hazard means this is the externalities. Just like to save your cost, to save yourself, you put the burden of that to the other person, right? Like in case of factories, right? Like in case of factories where there is a waste product which is chemicals which is thrown to the rivers. So whenever the factory owners drain out their chemical waste in the rivers nearby, so what happens? They save their cost of dumping them, of recycling them or recleaning them, and they directly inflow through it, drain it to the rivers, and it will cost to the people also, right? And it will cost to the aquatic life also, fishes and all these get the suffer. So it is big, about the action made after making a market exchange. So this is the moral hazard. Moral hazard means that where people have no moral responsibility, and just to bring down their cost, to make their profit maximization for their benefit, they put the risk onto the other persons, right? This is called moral hazard. For example, a driver who has comprehensive insurance tends to exhibit greater taste of risk taking in getting to his destination quickly, right? Many times if a driver driving a car or a bus, right, he has a insurance of his car also and अपनी भी policy. Now he drive recklessly, है ना? तो recklessly वो drive करेगा and it will be the risky for the all people, right? Asymmetric information and sir, what is the difference between asymmetric and adverse selection? See, asymmetric information is a reason due to which adverse selection becomes, right? So asymmetric information is a reason, and due to that asymmetric information, the result is that either the buyer get the wrong selection, adverse selection, or the seller got the wrong selection. Is it clear, Pranav? Right? So in this case, you can say that driver who has insured person, who has got the insurance, he will drive recklessly, right? Or causing the other person's life on danger, right? So this is this kind of, and in insurance market, moral hazard refers to the situation when the policy taker hide the information from the policy insurance company, है ना? And due to which क्या होगा? The risk for the insurance companies arises. क्यों वो गलत information दे रहे हैं? वो information इसलिए गलत दे रहे हैं क्योंकि they have a fear that if they disclose their disease or their such kind of habit of smoking, drinking, either the insurance company will raise the premium or the insurance company will deny to give them the policy, right? So these kind of moral hazard where you, for your benefit, you put the life of other persons on the stake, right? So these are, if a company could even वही बात आ गई, harmful effect मैंने बताया, chemicals वगैरह, all these are. So you can say कि asymmetric information, adverse selection and moral hazard affect the ability of market to efficiently allocate resources, and due to which the market failure arises. Now the 2 points we have discussed here, and the other 2 we will discuss in next class, right? So Mohit is saying like GST, it affect only consumer on goods, and yes, you can say it. And Diksha is saying that adverse selection is the consequence of asymmetric information. Very good, right? You got it. right? So these 2 points we have discussed, and the remaining 2 points we will discuss in next session. Till then, take care. Bye bye.